Welcome to the DIY Writer Show with the mild-mannered, slightly heroic host, Jeff Bacon.
This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast. Today, I have a Gothic horror novelist, and I was reading through her bio on her website, and I just love this. Jennifer was born a strange, pale, and quiet child, a ghost scared of ghosts. And it goes on, and it's very kind of magical. I have the very artistic and wonderful writer with me. Her name is Jennifer Ann Gordon. Jennifer, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you know what? It's my pleasure. And today is a special day for you.
It's my book birthday.
A book birthday. Those are so special. I'm glad you're sharing it with me, to be honest.
Yeah, I was excited. I usually don't do press or podcasts the day that my book is released because I'm too neurotic about it. But this, you are a welcome distraction from staring at my KDP and just like spamming my friends on Facebook, like, buy my book.
And, you know, for nobody who's been through this, that's exactly the way it is.
You really feel like a street peddler too, because like you're just like anybody, like you're dropping your links everywhere, you're putting up your graphics everywhere. Everybody you know has seen your book cover a million times.
You're finding new groups on Facebook and joining them and saying, hey, you know what? I have this book coming out like today. Yeah, I know. It's on Instagram and I mean, Twitter and I mean, depending on what mediums you're on, but
yeah.
So how's it going so far?
It's going well, you know. I didn't know what to expect because this is the book is called When the Sleeping Dead Still Talk, and it is the second book of a 2-book series. So the first book did well, and that one is called From Daylight to Madness. And but I know a lot of people, they bought it, but they haven't necessarily read it yet.
Okay.
So, you know, I expect today to be smaller than my release for From Daylight to Madness.
When did you release that one? Oh, August of 20?
Yes. Yeah. So I wanted to release these two kind of close together because I wrote them originally as one very long book, but it didn't really work as well as I would have liked it to as one book. It very much works as 2 books because it centers on 2 different characters, and it was easier just to break that in half and have 2 different books. So yeah. So I'm hoping when people realize that the story is done and that they won't have to wait, that they will just like binge the first and the second book at the same time.
Isn't that weird the way that works though? You know, you release a book and say, okay, you know, the next one's going to come out in a couple of months, and everybody kind of looks at you like, I'll wait till you get the second book out, or I'll you know, if this is a 9-book series, I'll wait so I can just binge it, you know, and then they get to whale readers on that part. But the you know, the production and actually getting people to buy the book along the way is tough.
Yeah, you know, this is the first time I've done books that like are connected like that, so I didn't know how it would feel, how people would feel, but I did get a lot of people saying, oh, I'm not going to read it until I know you have the other one done. I'm like, well, it is done because I wrote them at the same time. But I think people are just burned from like George R.R. Martin never finishing things. And then there's I think Patrick Rothfuss too didn't finish his series. So there's a lot of PTSD out there when you don't finish a book series. So I felt like I needed to really explain to everybody that don't worry, the story does have an ending. I know the ending. I've written it.
Every time I hear Martin's name, it makes me a little angry. It does. I'll tell you why. So I'm a part of a group that wrote an anthology, and we released it in 2018. Okay, it was like a Christmas type thing, you know, and I wrote kind of a dark fantasy horror type thing. I just did a spinoff of Gira and the 13 Yule Lads, you know, not a real big deal. And I said it in kind of an urban fantasy thing and blah, blah, blah. And we all got them together and we all thought, okay, what should we name this thing? You know what? Let's name it Winds of Winter. Then, what was it? 9 months later, George Martin comes out. The next book in my series, Game of Thrones, is The Winds of Winter. Okay, fine, whatever, no big deal, right? Well, now Amazon's coupling our anthology with his books. So, where they have the, buy this plus this plus this.
Yeah.
And now we're getting people that are pissed because, they got 2 George R.R. Martin books and then 1 anthology by a bunch of people they've never even heard of. It's just hilarious, but it kind of makes
It's good
me mad.
marketing for you guys, though.
Yeah, and the fact that we were way ahead of his announcement kind of helps at least. But we were like, should we rename this? And it's like,
or spell wins in a different way, so it's like W-Y-N-D-Z.
yeah, something like that. But it was just kind of funny. But that's my stupid story about Martin. Anyway, so what else is going on? You are up in New Hampshire, right?
Yes, I am in New Hampshire. Just living my best pandemic life.
Yeah.
Kind of just solitary in our house all the time. I was for the past 11 years a professional ballroom dancer and an instructor. So it's weird not having that job anymore. Our dance studio had to close down because of the virus. So
yeah.
So yeah, I'm adjusting to being, for right now, a full-time author. And
so
lucky me.
What is I assume your dance studio is going to open back up at some point in time, or is it just done?
It is for now just done. We don't know what the future is going to hold. The studio shut down completely for a few months during the lockdown.
Yeah.
And then we did reopen. But the thing with ballroom dancing and social dancing is it really needs an environment where you are dancing 6 inches away from a person you don't know. And you're breathing in each other's faces and you're dancing with strangers. And in a group class, everybody dances with everybody else. We have parties every week. Without any of those things, ballroom dancing becomes sort of sad. And I hate to say that. And it was tricky to teach with a mask on. It was tricky to dance with a mask on.
Yeah.
It's tricky to teach dancing when you can't touch somebody. So the dance studio made the decision at the beginning of October is when we shut down. And nobody knows what the future will hold. So hopefully, until then, we've been doing some like social distance ballroom dance lessons in people's driveways. A new world, it
is. The my daughter, my youngest, or not my youngest now, I've got a 3-year-old that's in dance, and that's probably going to close down, but they've been doing their best, just ballet, just beginning ballet, and they're doing their best to keep it social distancing and everything else. But when you get a room full of 3-year-olds, they don't really adhere to the boxes. They just
I mean, it's hard, I think, even for us as adults. I think we gravitate towards people. Like we literally do. It's very difficult. You can start out social distancing, but the more you get engaged in conversation or anything, you just naturally start creeping closer.
Yep. Fine. Yep. And even with the mask, I mean, that's still, you have that reminder, but you do that. I do that all the time. I work in IT, so I'm still out and about. And I mean, social distancing kind of works, but then it also doesn't, you're just sitting there working on something, and the guy who's really invested in what you're fixing comes over your shoulder and looking right here. How's this going? It's like, okay. But
it is tricky. It is tricky. So, we're all learning to be in this kind of environment, and we're trying our best. So it was a bummer about the dance studio. I didn't have a backup plan for my life. I never thought global pandemic is going to shut down the world was going to happen. And I should have thought that was going to happen because I'm a horror writer. and I'm a horror fan.
It's the next thing that should have been on your list. I mean, come on.
I know. I'm the book I'm working on right now, which I had the idea for pre-COVID, is a pandemic book.
Yeah.
So it should have been on my radar, but I didn't have a backup plan. My husband and I thought, we're both ballroom dance teachers. We thought eventually we would own the studio, and this was going to be our life.
It might be real cheap after this is all over.
That's the thing. It might be. That's why people keep asking, oh, are you guys going to open a new studio? Are you going to do something? And I'm like, I'm not sure. We definitely could.
The problem is nobody knows how long this is going to last. I mean, if it goes into June, nobody, and there is a couple more hard lockdowns, there might not be an economy to serve, for some time. I mean, depending on how this thing goes, it could be all right. I think all right is probably still attainable to, oh my God, that's fucking horrible,
Yeah. And the thing too with ballroom dancing, and our client base is older.
Yeah.
Because it's not an inexpensive hobby. So we tend to have a lot of people who are retired, semi-retired. And these are the people who are at the most risk for COVID too. Right. So putting those two things together, our client base has been incredibly careful, and they wear their masks. They don't want to get sick. And I think it'll be a long time before we as a society start feeling comfortable again to do anything.
I think it depends on what area you're in, really.
Oh yeah, I mean.
When I look just around this area, as soon as the bars open back up, they seem to be really busy. And they actually had to, they opened up at, I think, almost 100% capacity, and then they had to back off on it. Now they're, Illinois at least is going to be closing them, I think, tonight. Again,
yeah, wow.
And just closing everything down. Wisconsin, I think they're probably looking at it, real close. We're not that much better than Illinois as far as infections go, but so we're probably looking at another lockdown here fairly quick.
Yeah, it's just, this is the first time in so many years that I haven't had like a vacation planned. It's what I look forward to like all year, is just saying, even if I plan something a year out.
Where does Jennifer vacation?
Oh, our last vacation, which was right before the lockdown, we were in Spain. The year before, Czech Republic and Germany. The year before that, Portugal. Before that, Italy, Croatia, Montenegro, Greece.
Okay.
Did a big trip.
I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and there's actually a point to it, so don't think I'm just creeping on you. But so when are these fun vacations? Is it like beach and sun and margaritas, or what are you doing on these vacations? Because I have a guess, but I'm just
So mainly we're taking photos of like abandoned buildings or old architecture. Sometimes going to haunted places. We went to Porto, Portugal, because 40% of the city was abandoned.
Yeah.
So we went there to take pictures of that. And yeah. So I've only been on like one beachy vacation, and that was with the dance studio. We went to Bermuda. But I still had like a parasol and big sunglasses and so much sunscreen.
So you've done you've traveled quite a bit. What is the creepiest place that you've ever been?
Oh, this is a tie between two places.
Okay.
So I'll do the American place. That's the creepiest, and that was the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in Virginia.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's a really big old abandoned asylum, one of the Kirkbride buildings. So it has beautiful architecture, but terrible past. So that was probably the creepiest here in the United States.
What made it creepy? I mean, what?
I shouldn't say creepy but intense and sad.
Okay.
And I don't know if you believe in ghosts or things like that, but I do, and
By
I believe
nature,
I
I
can.
have to.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
do.
can feel things, and in that building, it was like almost unbearable at times. The pressure that you could feel from the lingering energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my creepiest place in the United States,
Okay.
and creepiest place in Europe is underneath Prague, especially the old town square in Prague. There's underground Prague. So the city was basically built on top of another city.
Mm-hmm.
So we went on a tour of underground Prague, and we toured um, an executioner's home. And
Oh.
so it basically, his little house was attached to a dungeon and a pit where they kept people. So that was, again, very, very intense and sad and really creepy, because there was no electricity, and all we had were little lanterns and our EMF meters for ghost hunting.
Mm-hmm. On one of the podcasts, I had a author who's also a medium, and
Nice.
he was talking about going into Chicago and having a spirit attached to him and go back to California with him, and he had to be cleansed.
Oh my
And
gosh.
just even when he was talking about it, it's like, oh, I could not only could I feel the intensity of what he was saying, but I could also, you just kind of, okay, yeah,
Yeah, that like gave
that's,
me the heebie-jeebies on my back.
and you kind of think about that kind of stuff, but it happens.
It does
It
happen.
does. I mean, you go into these places thinking, oh, I'm just going to get scared, and you leave with some extra baggage.
Yeah. So when I was at the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, I went into one room and I got very, very overwhelmed. I couldn't breathe.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like my lungs were being squeezed. I got really hot. I just started sweating, and I was like, I'm gonna faint. I'm
Yeah.
gonna faint. I know I'm gonna faint. Um, I had to leave the room and kind of like go into the hallway and just like take a beat. Um, then the person who was giving us the tour started talking in the room that I had been in, had a laundry chute, and there was a patient who tried to escape and went down the laundry chute, but got
Mm-hmm.
stuck and ended up suffocating to death in that laundry chute, kind of in the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh gosh. Anyway, and
When you walk into someplace creepy, or someplace that supposedly is haunted, and then all of a sudden you get the chill, and then you get the almost like a cold sweat, but then the nervousness, and almost like, even if you don't suffer from anxiety, that anxiousness
yeah,
kind of flows over you, almost like a wave, I think,
yeah,
almost. And then you're just kind of like, oh shit. I mean, your first reaction is just kind of everything standing up straight, and you're going, shit.
yeah.
I don't know how
It
it is
is.
for you, but that's kind of the way it is for me. And it's just like, okay, do I stick here or do I go?
Right. And I'm always, because I'm very drawn to places like that, and I love photography, and I love to photograph
Mhm.
abandoned buildings and haunted places. But sometimes I just think, no, I've got to step back. I shouldn't be here.
Yeah. You know, that's the way I've always kind of thought. And then when I listen to Bruce talk about his thing, it's like, oh, yeah, that would be, yeah, okay. Having something follow you from the murder hotel in Chicago. Yeah, that wouldn't be that would suck. you know.
I know. So, I mean, I try not to. I mean, I did go to the executioner's house, so that was one thing. But I try not to go to places that I know are haunted in a bad way, like they're
Hmm.
where there's something malevolent there. I
Yeah.
try not to be involved in that
Hmm.
kind of energy.
I yeah. there's a there's a place in Michigan that you can go to that was a sanatorium that you can actually I can't remember, it's not that expensive, but you actually pay to stay overnight there, and it's supposed to be haunted. And yeah, about
I know.
you know I really want to, and then it's like, maybe if I go alone, maybe I hate to drag the wife and kids on a
I know, like
haunted
you drag your
vacation.
daughter there. Like,
Yeah,
come
something like
on,
that.
come on. Yeah, you can do that at Ohio State Reformatory too.
Oh, yeah.
That's where they filmed Shawshank Redemption, and part of it, I've been there, and during the day, but they do like overnights there.
Hmm.
And uh, again, I don't really think I would want to be there at 3 a.m.
A
in
big
the
part of me
dark.
wants to, and then the other
Yeah.
part's like, calm down there, Skippy.
Yeah.
There's no reason to get yourself screwed up any more than you already are. So
Yeah.
you have a collage of things on your website, which I find I've looked through it a couple of times ever since you scheduled the show with me. And can you kind of explain what that is? Because there's a lot of really cool. It looks like photographs is what it looks like to me, but
Under the collage thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So that is, for many years, I made my living doing mixed media artwork. And
Okay.
so those collages were some of the art prints that I had sold over the years. So they're Victorian and Edwardian photography.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I did photo transfer onto canvas, and then added different elements of like paper, old letters, old cards, just
Oh.
ephemera in general, and old wallpaper samples, and then acrylic paint and oil pastels, and sadness
And sadness.
and sadness and mysterious artistic sadness. Uh, and I made these art prints, and I
I
actually have a book out of all of them too. So
Oh, you do?
a
Okay.
coffee table book, yeah, called Victoriana.
Oh, that's cool. Like I said, I've sat here and looked at them a couple of times. Like, this is really cool. It looks like, but yeah, it's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is from, just looking at them
I
your
know, looking at
computer.
a
But
picture, people are
there's a
like,
lot
what
of
the heck is
beautiful works
this?
on there if anybody wants to go to jenniferannegordon.com. So you're a dancer, you're an artiste, you're an author. Anything else that would
I
just
went to
shock
school for
everybody?
shock.
I don't know. Not shock, maybe.
I went to school for theater, so I also did professional theater for a few years before.
Okay.
I mean, and I love theater. I love acting a lot, but I don't do it anymore. I did burlesque for a while. That's not really that shocking either. I did weirdlesque, so like Gothic-y, Halloween themed
Okay. I was just going to
burlesque.
ask. Okay. I know what burlesque is. What's weird-esque?
So I had a burlesque troupe that I was the creative director of, called Absinthe and Opium, and we would do a couple big theater shows per year. We tried to do a fun, lighthearted show in the
Mm-hmm.
summer, and we always did a Halloween show. So we've done Edgar Allan Poe, we've done dark folklore shows. So we would do, burlesque based on the Salem witch trials, or burlesque based on Lizzie Borden.
Sure.
We did a burlesque number that was the Raven in its entirety.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Very
we had
cool.
some fun. We had a lot of fun.
Well, I wanted you to explain something to me. So what does a Gothic, lighthearted, fun burlesque look like?
Looks like this.
Oh, okay.
So I'll say this, our Lizzie Borden number. So if people who are watching this don't know who Lizzie Borden is, she is a famous, infamous accused ex-murderess,
Mm-hmm.
where she chopped up her mom and dad. And so we did a burlesque number based on that, where there's the nursery rhyme, Lizzie Borden with an axe, she gave her mother 40 whacks. And she gave her father 40 whacks. When her mother asked her what she'd done, Lizzie gave her 41. So we took that rhyme, did no music, and I just had the cast of characters, Lizzie, the parents, and I was the maid, just say those lines over and over again, but almost like in a play.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of funny and lighthearted because they were just having dinner, and saying the lines back and forth, just all improvisational. Lizzie didn't talk at all. Just the maid, the mom, and the dad talked. But this is all we said to each other until we got to the point where I just wanted my Lizzie to finally break mentally and kill them all. So, so people would watch it and they were like, "Oh, I'm kind of uncomfortable," but they would laugh, and then, but by the end, everybody was crying because they were just like, "Oh, it's so insane."
Yeah.
And then we did a Boston Strangler number where I got murdered by the Boston Strangler. And then our Boston Strangler basically sang the song Psycho Killer Qu'est-ce que c'est by the Talking Heads, like scream cried that over my like half naked body.
It sounds like a lot of fun. You don't, but that's done now.
That's done. Yeah, for now.
For now. Something you're going to start up again, you think?
Maybe I do miss it, but there's, you know, sometimes your life gets in the way. I take care of my elderly mother, and she was having a lot of health issues over the past couple of years, so it was hard to work full time, have a cabaret troupe, which was also like another full-time job, and take care of her. So something had to give, and it had to be the burlesque troupe for a little while. So, but I do love it. So I may go back to it at some point again later, post.
I tell you, I'd really love to see a happy, lighthearted Lizzie Borden type of that does sound really cool. I maybe, you know, a little tongue in cheek there, but that does sound really cool.
I mean, I will say we performed a lot at a theater called the Hatbox Theater, and we sold out almost every show that we ever did, got standing ovations. And the thing we always heard was people saying, "I had no idea how you were going to make this work." But it did.
Well, you know, when you first said that, I'm like, okay, happy, Gothic, fun loving. Oh, and we're going to do Lizzie Borden. Yeah, I'm kind of wondering how that would work, but obviously you pulled it off. So
yeah. But a lot of the numbers were very intense, like emotionally intense too.
Yeah.
For burlesque.
For burlesque. That was weird-esque.
Weird-lesque. But we also had, we always had an element of comedy, because we have we had a group of guys in our troupe too, and we called them the Log Brothers. So they would always come out and do like very ridiculous things to lighten the mood. So if you like in Shakespeare, there's always, even the tragedies, there's always like some clowns that come in at some point in time and do something ridiculous, and that's kind of who our Log Brothers were.
Oh, a little tension breaker.
Yes, like you need it sometimes.
Sometimes you just sit down and write a book.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did when I stopped doing burlesque. That's when I said, well, now I'm going to be home more because I'm taking care of my mom. I'm finally going to sit down and write a book. And that's when I wrote my debut novel, which is called Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent. And I'm just going to shamelessly promote myself right here. Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent.
Just so I can stop you right there. We're all about shameless plugs, so you can plug whatever you want.
So
proceed, ma'am.
Beautiful, Frightening, and Silent just won the Kindle Award for Best Horror Novel of 2020. So I'm very proud, because that was my debut novel, and I'm excited. It's also a finalist for the Authors on the Air Award for Best Book of the Year, and also Best Horror Novel of the Year. Finalist in for those. Yeah,
I saw the I saw the one. What'd you have on your website? You had something.
I have the Kindle Award.
You have the Kindle Award.
Yeah, I just found out about the Authors on the Air Awards, so I won't find out until December 16th. If I happen to win one of those, it would be.
Well, Jennifer, what are you doing talking to me? You should be on Joe Rogan or something.
Oh gosh. Hey, Joe, if you're watching, I would love to be on your show.
He's a frequent watcher of this. I know he is.
Oh, I bet he is.
He's one of my 50 subscribers at this point. Oh, well. So, but you run a podcast too.
I do. I have
A little
a
Latin
show.
number, right?
It's called Vox Vomitus.
What's
And
the
it's fake.
translation of that?
Well, it's fake Latin for
okay.
word vomit.
Word
really,
vomit.
it means like voice vomit. But I had originally wanted to call it word vomit, but that was already copywritten. And then I wanted to call it Vomit Draft, already copywritten. The Vomitorium, already copywritten. And we ended up settling on Vox Vomitus, which I really like. And on the show, I have two co-hosts, both authors as well, Trisha Ridinger McKee and Allison Martine. And we talk to best-selling authors about what went wrong. So
that's kind of
fun.
About
it is really fun because we get to hear from, some of the best writers working today. And they do come on and they promote their new book, but then we get down to the nitty-gritty of what's the worst thing you've ever written. Have you ever had to throw out a whole book because it was just that bad? And the mistakes you make when you just first start writing, things you're embarrassed that you actually tried to do. And we've heard just really great stories. And
so I'm kind of curious, how many, if not all, have had to throw something out?
Oh, most do. Most do. We talked to, I can't remember, I think it was Carol Goodman, who is one of my favorite authors. She has like 22 New York Times bestsellers. And she said she got to this point in one of her books, I think it was her, that she was around 200 pages in and she realized this is not working. So, and that's a lot of, you're a writer, that's a lot of words. That's a lot of time and energy trying to get something to work.
And to get to the point where it's like, I can't do anything with this. This sucks. Is it's like being, just before death in like a gladiator in the Coliseum. It's like, okay, I did everything I could. Now it's done.
Right.
Type thing. It's a crappy feeling.
I know. I've never had to throw out anything that massive, not the 200-page mark, but I have had to throw out a good chapter, every now and then, where I'm like just toiling away at something and I'm like, oh, and then I reread it. I'm like, what am I even doing?
Yeah.
This is word vomit. It's just like like a whole chapter that's really just one bad metaphor.
I just looked up on the web for a translation of that, and it's actually not voice vomit. That's not the direct translation. The direct translation is Fox News. Just kidding. Sorry, that's all I'm gonna go. Cheap joke. I am a dad, so dad jokes are permitted.
They're permitted, and a good dig at Fox News is always permitted too.
Oh, what the heck! So, are you? And I don't know what your situation is up there, but are you guys pretty much on a strict lockdown, or are you guys going out every now and then, or?
The only place I go currently is to the grocery store. And a couple weeks ago I got married, so I went out.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I got married on Halloween.
Really?
So we did end up going out to eat once that weekend because we went to a bed and breakfast for a few days, and we were the only guests there, so it was amazing. I mean, not for the poor people that own the bed and breakfast. It's terrible for their business, but
right. But you got the whole facility to yourself.
Yeah. So, I'm on pretty strict lockdown myself because, like I said, I take care of my mom.
Right.
She lives with us. She is a lung cancer survivor, so she only has one lung.
Oh.
So if she gets this,
so she's high risk.
High risk. Yeah. And I have really bad asthma, so we're just kind of hunkered down here with our dog.
Yeah.
My mom.
So, all right, you gotta tell me about the wedding on Halloween. I mean, you're a horror writer, wedding on Halloween. This sounds a little cliche, but it sounds awesome. So, what'd you do?
Yeah. So what we did was we went to this haunted bed and breakfast called the Rosewood Country Inn in Bradford, New Hampshire. And Charlie Chaplin used to stay there, and Mary Pickford.
Okay.
because it was kind of the end of the train line leaving Boston during the, the
Sure.
early part of the 20th century. So we went there. We had a lovely, completely private ceremony. The only people that were there were the people that owned the inn, uh, our officiant and her husband. And we were outside, and we were on a druid stone in the woods with a
Yeah.
pond behind us, and it had just snowed the day before. So it was very beautiful. So there was a little bit of snow over like the amazing foliage. So it was absolutely gorgeous. It was a very, great little ceremony. I got to wear a dark purple dress and a black cape and my snow boots underneath my gown.
Sure.
And my now husband, which is still weird to say, he sang a song to me in like an opera song in German. And he had been secretly taking Zoom singing lessons, and I didn't know.
That's really cool.
It was great.
German opera.
I know.
Druid stone.
I know. He starts singing, and I'm like, what is happening? What are you doing? But it was very beautiful. We had planned always to get married on Halloween because it was a Saturday. It was a blue moon. It was Halloween. I love Halloween, obviously. And we had originally wanted to do like a ceremony and a reception and have it be a masquerade ball or a costume party too. But, life took a different turn. And we kept going back and forth of, should we still get married? Should we wait?
Yeah.
And we just wanted to make sure that we still had our magical day on the day that we wanted. So we did it.
Don't know how, like you said, Halloween, blue moon.
Yeah. Like you can't pass it up.
No, you can't. No matter what.
I can't.
The universe isn't going to wait for you.
No, exactly. So we did it, and it was great. We got to spend a cool weekend at this old bed and breakfast, and then back home to the glamorous life of being a shut-in author.
Being a shut-in author. That's awesome. That very same night, I watched a 3-year-old vampire princess walk around the neighborhood and collect candy.
It's just as good.
Just as good.
I like the idea of a vampire princess, though.
She's totally into princesses, and for some reason, she's 3 years old, and I'm sure I had something to do with this, but she just like, what do you want to be for Halloween? I want to be a vampire. It's like, okay, this is completely, usually it's, I want to dress up as Elsa and Frozen and this and that and whatever, because she has all those dresses. We just thought, well, it's going to be another princess thingamajig or whatever. Nope. Halloween, I have to be a vampire. So we ran out and we got her a vampire. It was kind of a creepy little vampire. It was really funny what she picked out. She's got a little dark side on her, even at 3. And so
watch out, she's going to turn into a horror writer.
There are worse things in the world.
Like, this is her future.
Well, again, there's worse things in the world. She, I can't do that one. There's a joke there, but I'm like, no, that alienate too many people. Anyway.
You'll have to tell it to me later.
Maybe. I was going to make a fun of a certain section of authors, but I can't do it.
Oh. No, I really want to know.
Yeah, well, anyway. So then we're getting her all dressed up and everything, and she's kind of having a fit, kind of not or whatever. And so she's got these little princess crowns. And so she puts that on. It's like, wait a minute, vampires don't really wear those. I'm a vampire princess. And it's like, you go, girl.
Yes.
You go get them. And she was really kind of bitchy about it. And it was just kind of funny. Like, she was very, I am a vampire princess and don't you fuck with me. And it's like, 3 years old.
I feel like that's a really great idea for like a picture book for kids. Like the daughters of, like, former goths.
Yeah. That actually isn't a bad idea.
I know. I wish I could draw.
Yeah, me too. But I've got a 20-year-old daughter too. She's going to school for art. And that's all she does is just draw and paint and all that kind of stuff. So we can get her to do it for $5.
I was going to say, yeah.
For $5, she'll draw you anything.
Only $5.
She's a starving college kid in need of cash, evidently. So yeah.
Good to know.
$5 or a bottle of flavored vodka will get you just about anything you want out of her.
I have $5 and flavored vodka in my house right now.
Wow, it would be like a bonus. She's there. She's on it. Shoot. So you got this new release that came out today, and hopefully we're distracting you from looking at Amazon.
I know. I want to. I almost just like took my tablet and been like,
yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
You might start to hear
July.
my dog barking. If you hear my dog bark, I'm sorry. I hear that we're getting our heating oil delivered, and I think it's happening.
Well,
so you might hear.
We are a pet-friendly show
dog.
here.
Yeah. You might hear my dog and everybody else in the house screaming, "Shut up, Tubby!" Because my dog's name is Lord Tubby.
Lord Tubby.
Yes. He has his own Facebook page, everybody. So you can follow him on Facebook at Lord Tubby.
At Lord Tubby. What kind of a dog is he?
He's a Coton d'Atulier. So that's it's a Madagascar pirate dog. So looks like a little baby polar bear. He's all white.
Okay.
His fur is the texture of cotton, which is yeah. So he's kind of cute. He's not super smart, but he's very sweet.
Dumb dogs are the best. Smart dogs get into a lot of trouble.
You know, I had a very smart dog. He was like a little philosopher, but he was too smart. Like you could see that he was always like thinking about the things and like worried about the state of the world.
Yeah.
And he knew 5 languages. Like I taught him sign language. He understood everything. This dog, no,
not there.
None of that.
Squirrel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got a little Lopsel Doodle.
Oh, ooh.
And
I love little dogs.
She is, she's kind of sweet, but also kind of crabby every now and then, whatever. But she's an escape artist.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I've got a fence up in my yard, and it's a 5-foot fence, and she can crawl up that and go over the other side and go down. That's the poodle in her. And it doesn't matter, Constantine wire is the next thing I need to put up or something, but just something to detract her. But she, anything that she wants out of, she usually can get out, unless it's, like a steel cage. But she's actually gotten out of that too. She's fished the loops off. So I put little clips on it so she can't open the door.
So my smart dog figured out how to get out of his crate too, because he like stuck his paw out and like understood how to like lift it up and put it over.
Yeah.
So I would have to clip his clothes too when I needed him to stay in there. And people were like, "You lock him in there?" I'm like, dude, he will just leave. He'll just go right out of the crate. I have to.
Well, the other thing that really serves, it's that all these skills for, we call her Grizz, really serves her well because she loves food. So if you don't put her in a different room or something like that, and you're eating supper, like for Thanksgiving, we have to lock her up and make sure she doesn't get out. Otherwise, if you turn your back, she's up on the table, just kind of picking through everybody's food. And it's just like, you try and teach her, and I don't think anybody in the house actually feeds her anything. She will just jump up on the table and get it.
Yeah.
And we have a 3-year-old and a 7-month-old that throw food all over the place. And so she's
of course they do.
Yeah.
It's a buffet for her.
It really is. And what's funny is the 3-year-old's kind of figured this out. So if there's something she really doesn't like, I missed my mouth, and it goes over there, and we'll pick it up before Grizz got it. All right, cool. There's another piece of pizza down the pipe. But you know how it goes. Anyway, so do you have what do you have coming out again, or not coming out, but what's next for you as far as books go?
So I am in very, very early stages of writing a new piece. It still has a lot of horror elements to it, but it's more speculative fiction.
Okay.
And it's a book about a virus, go figure. But
That's weird.
it's not a COVID type of virus, but it's sort of a combo of the herpes simplex and leprosy. So fun.
Ooh.
But it's, so it disfigures people.
Yeah.
And we're living in a society right now that is very looks oriented.
Mhm.
Everybody's either an Instagram influencer or something. So it's about how that would affect
Yeah.
such a vain type of person.
I was going to try out my modeling career on Instagram, but it just hasn't worked out. Balding old guys evidently is not it. So
You could sell it. You just have to figure out a gimmick.
yeah, I think I have my gimmick. It's just talking. Well, that sounds cool. When do you expect when are you kind of targeting for that to be out?
Oh, probably this summer. I'm hoping this summer.
Yeah. Well, at least you'll have some time to do it.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was thinking. I keep thinking, oh, it could be, if I just like buckle down, it could be done in like 2 months. But I'm taking my time with this one. Weirdly, there's a lot to research because I'm not a science person, so I don't understand viruses at all. So luckily I've enlisted somebody smarter than me who is a scientist to help me understand how viruses work.
You'd think there'd be plenty of research on the news right now, but
I know there is, but I needed to know like kind of gross stuff.
oh yeah, especially herpes.
Yeah. She was like, well, what do you want me to research? And I was like, I need to know everything about what if the herpes virus like was really, really, really severe, and what that would do to you and how it would travel through your body.
See,
and now I know some gross things.
The nice thing is that when you ask for stuff like that, there's usually 2 things you can say. Number 1, I'm an author doing research.
Yep.
Or number 2, I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah. I know. I feel like if I ever got arrested, like the police or the FBI would look at my search history and just think this person's a psychopath.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to be like, I'm not, I'm a horror author.
I always imagine that meeting, which is probably inevitable for me, being with, like Spencer from Criminal Minds.
Yes.
And sitting down. Well, we looked over your 13,000 terabytes of search history, and believe it or not, every one of these murders, even though they're not related, we've connected them to you.
Yeah.
No, I'm a writer.
I'm a writer.
Don't kill me. Don't put me in jail. Sorry.
I know. I always like to ask the guests on my show that write dark stuff what the weirdest thing they've looked up is.
Okay.
It's like, oh gosh.
That question kind of scares me sometimes. Just because I asked it of one person, and peeling skin and how you do that, peeling it off somebody and still keep them alive. It's like, okay, do not do anything on this show that's going to incriminate you, because it will be taped and it will be posted on the internet. So, as long as this can't be used in court, you're cool. Proceed, please. But so what's the weirdest thing you've ever looked up in your mind?
Oh, I looked up how many like 3-inch rocks could fit inside a human stomach. And if you could cut somebody's lungs open and put stones inside of them.
And keep them alive, and while they're still alive?
No, they were dead. Oh. Luckily they were dead. But still, I was like, does that even work? Like, can you put rocks inside somebody's lungs? You can. Yeah. So.
The most fucked up thing I've looked up so far and there aren't any real answers, is that if you're going to pour molten steel down somebody's throat, how long does it take it to actually kill them?
Yeah,
And
that's a good one.
trying to figure that out. And what actually melts first, and where does it conglomerate, and how does it go down?
Yeah.
And where would be the most logical exit place for it, back or front?
I feel like the front would be like, it would melt your like voice box and everything and just kind of like leak out your chin.
You'd think so, but I'm putting the extend the throat and putting a funnel basically in.
Okay.
And it's going down your throat, so it's going down, and it can either go into the lungs or the stomach. Okay, so it comes down here, and depending on where the body's positioned, and this is really too much to be talking about on a podcast, I guess, but okay, does it actually just, will it, because all that little flapper that is between the lungs and the stomach, that's gone.
Yeah.
So it just goes down and fills them all up. So does it start leaking out of the sides, or does it just go out the front, or does it actually burn through the back? I mean, what's the tissue density and and I was really getting into it. It's like, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It's a gross scene anyway, but I don't know why I'm getting so into this. But I actually spent about 2 hours on that, and it's like, at the end, it's like, I can't tell if I'm actually doing this for book research or just because I have a morbid desire to know. I don't know.
It's just like the curiosity of like, well, what would happen if, and then you're like, oh, I can't unsee that.
Yeah. And then the other thing that always goes through my mind is, okay, would a normal person just say, okay, this is going to kill him, and just move on?
Yeah.
And
but
I'm kind of
writers aren't normal people.
I think we're the only normal ones. Everybody else is fucked up. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that.
So I usually don't write very gory things, but I do write very dark things.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the people who know me from ballroom dancing know that, like, they know I'm gothy and I'm into horror, but I am friendly and very, kind of like bubbly or whatever, and nice. And then a lot of them read my first book and they were just like, what's going on in your head? Like, and a couple of them said, maybe you should like see a therapist.
Yeah.
Like,
Why?
And then I had another student, a male student, say, I never would have thought in my 5 years of dancing with you that you had these things in your brain. I'm like, did you think I had anything in my brain? He's like, no, I knew you were smart, but I just didn't know that it was dark like this. I'm like, oh.
That's when you turn to him and you say something really bizarre, like, every time I dance with you, that's what I think of.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Yeah, I do like how you describe yourself, kind of bubbly, kind of ish. And
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I never
kind of gothy bubbly ish.
Gothy bubble? Gothy bubble?
Gothy bubble.
Because I always just see myself, as being really serious. But I think when I'm at work, when I was like teaching the foxtrot, you can't just be horror girl talking about the foxtrot. You've got to be like, foxtrot.
Yeah.
So
funny.
I'm also a vampire princess, I think.
You're also
both.
a vampire princess. Well, that's an awesome combination.
Okay.
I want to start off by saying, or not start off, but kind of end on saying, I wish you the best of luck today.
Thank you.
Your book release and everything. And by the time people hear this, probably be next week or whatever, it'll be done, and it'll just be out there. But I will put the links and stuff to the book in the program description and everything.
Thank you.
So we can, hopefully get you a little bit of recognition there. I really appreciate you spending time with me today on book birthday.
On my book birthday? Yes. Thank you so much. I'm glad it worked out that it was today.
Yeah, I am too.
Too. I got an hour away from being neurotic.
Well,
I was still neurotic.
You're still neurotic, but just isn't in the back of your mind.
Yeah. Just like over here. Just over here somewhere.
We should have started drinking, I guess. I'm sorry.
Hey, I proposed that and you said it was too early.
That's because I'm a ninny from Wisconsin. Cool. Anything else you want to say to your readers before we go?
I would like to say thank you. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you to my publicist, Mickey. You're awesome. And anybody out there who, for some reason, is interested in my work or me, the Vampire Princess, you can stalk me on my website that has all my social media on there. That's jenniferannegordon.com. I'm not on Twitter a lot, but I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and also Slasher, which is a horror app, which is like Facebook for horror people. So
Cool.
Go to Slasher and find me.
The Slasher app. Yeah. Find me on Slasher.
Find me on Slasher.
That is actually very cool. Maybe
You'll have to check it out.
I will. I evidently am not on that. So, but with that, I want to say thank you for everybody who's listening. If you would please subscribe or follow me on the whatever your medium you're listening to this to, whether it be YouTube or iTunes or Podbean or Stitcher or Spotify or whatever. This is Jeff Bacon with the DIY Writer Podcast, and I bid you a good day.
Adieu.
Adieu.
Bye.
Bye.
Please hit the subscribe button. I get a bonus for every subscriber, and I only need 1,506 more to become a full-time paid employee. Help me, please.